Oh man, the Golden State Warriors are all over the place right now, and at this point, a good part of their mediocre record can be chalked up to bad luck. I mean, did y'all see that shot the Joker hit from nearly half court recently? Listen, I know there's no excuse for giving up, what was it, nearly a 20-point lead with 7 minutes left in the game, but damn, the Warriors, they can't seem to catch a break. And being that the NBA is a business, and being that the Warriors are in a position where they expect to be competing for a title year after year, with all these losses adding up, they seem to be getting to a point where it's like, hey man, maybe we need to make some changes. Now, the last time we saw a significant change, it was saying goodbye to someone that a lot of people thought would be a part of their young core and would just be the future in Jordan Poole. But now the way it's looking, the next significant change may include someone else who, just like Jordan Poole, has a name beginning with J, and that's Jonathan Kuminga. You see, recently Shams reported that Kuminga has lost faith in Steve Kerr and that he no longer feels that he'll be allowed to reach his full potential so long as Steve Kerr is the head coach. To basically sum it up, he's unhappy in his role. And I may not be Steve Kerr, but I have a sense that those feelings of losing faith are pretty mutual. I mean, it pretty much goes without saying that if Kerr felt like Kuminga's presence on the floor gave the Warriors a better chance at winning games, he would be receiving more than the 22 minutes he's currently averaging. So yeah, Kuminga's view on this is pretty fair. And it just leads me to wonder, what's next for Kuminga as the season goes on, because the trade deadline is quickly approaching as we near February. And if things remain as they are, the Warriors being up and down on a roller coaster, who's to say that he's still in the Warriors jersey come March? So yeah, man, basically in this video, we're gonna dive a little deeper into why Kuminga feels the way he does, reflect on his expectations a little bit, consider his performance and all that. So yeah, y'all go ahead and let me know in the comments real quick. How do you feel about this Kuminga situation? Do you feel as though he's underperformed this far in his career? Why or why not? And yeah, really quick before I go any further, what's up YouTube? Plug Speaks back with another video. If you're new, go ahead and sub. Also like the video if you enjoy. I upload quality basketball content and we're on this grind for 5K subs, so I most def appreciate it. But back to the video. Alright, so let's begin this by diving into the Steve Kerr Kuminga dynamic and I mean basically drama, because it is a little bit surprising. I'm not saying this came out of nowhere, but let's be real, more times than not, whenever there's drama pertaining to the Golden State Warriors, it has to do with the martial artist Draymond Green, who's currently on an indefinite suspension. I mean, that's just the truth. It's really just one of two options. It's either that, or it's gonna be a retired NBA player, or maybe even current player that remains anonymous, talking mess about Curry, saying that he's not clutch, or saying that he needs a Finals MVP. But of course, Steph put that to rest. So, like I said, more times than not, it's gonna be related to Draymond. So yeah, when this report came out by Shams, it was just kind of like, okay, there's other drama on this team, and it's actually big enough to the point that notable people like Shams are reporting it. But yeah, to act as if this is coming out of nowhere, that would just be simply incorrect and kind of unfair to Kuminga, because literally as the month of December just ended, Kuminga had an exclusive interview with the Warriors reporter Marcus Thompson, and in this interview he basically spoke about how he feels on the season thus far, just where his mental's at, how he feels about how the Warriors have been struggling, and basically he just provided some insight into what's really going on. And one of the most interesting quotes from this interview is that he said that it's just kind of confusing, and I'm paraphrasing here, but I'll put the quote on the screen. But yeah, he said it's kind of confusing. Sometimes I come out of the game not knowing what I did, and that messes with my head. It's like, what do they want me to do? I can pass, I can do all types of different things. And now I must admit, a part of me really sympathizes for Kuminga here, because you have to realize, this is a man who, although he's 3 years into his career, which is obviously young, he's 21. Like, 3 years into his career, you might think like he's 23, maybe 24. The man is 21. He's a very young player. So when he says that messes with his head, it just makes sense. Like a young player, that's gonna mess with your confidence. Even though you're playing along the likes of Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond, all-time greats, to just constantly be pulled out of the game and then sometimes just have minutes that are fluctuating. Like he's had some games where he's played 34 minutes, other games where he's played 19. And these aren't games where, oh, it's just a blowout, let me take him out early. No, it's games where maybe it's close, And Steve Kerr, the head coach, doesn't really feel like his contributions are helping, and maybe he doesn't feel like his contributions are really needed. Now, mind you, this was near the end of December, and if we just take it back to a couple of days ago versus the Nuggets with that crazy game winner, we see this type of situation once again come up, because in the final minutes of regulation versus the Nuggets, Kuminga was nowhere to be found, and that was because he was on the bench. In that whole game entirely, he played a whopping 19 minutes. Now the game before that, he played 34 minutes, which was versus Orlando Magic, which was a game they won. Now Kuminga is clearly a competitor. He has that fighting spirit. So I know as a competitor, whenever you're not able to have an impact on winning, literally because you're not even in the game, it's gonna hurt you. Like, you're gonna feel some type of way. But now, whether or not Steve Kerr is entirely in the wrong here is a whole nother conversation. You see, because Kuminga did have some high expectations coming into the league. The Warriors picked him with the 7th overall pick in the 2021 NBA draft, which if you don't remember, was a pretty damn deep draft. You had Cade number 1, Jalen Green number 2, Evan Mobley number 3. Must I really go on? Just regardless, that was a good ass draft, a really deep draft. And over the years, I can't say Kuminga has had a lot of opportunity, but this year he's definitely been given the most opportunity up to this point in his career. And if we're being real, he hasn't been doing anything crazy with it. You see, in the 30 games that he's played so far, averaging about 22 minutes a game, he's averaging 13 points, really just under 13 points, 4 rebounds and 1 assist on 50% shooting from the field, 28% shooting from 3, and 68% shooting from the free throw line, just under 70%. Now, these are numbers that nobody's going to be wowed by. Like, you're not going to be amazed at this. But the tricky thing with Kuminga is he's a player that shows a lot of flashes. And I'm not kidding when I say this. Coming into the NBA, Kuminga was receiving Kawhi Leonard comparisons, which is obviously a really high standard to me. But it's because of his two-way potential and ability. I mean, he has a crazy wingspan. He can clamp up your best player. He has great defense. And then on offense, he's pretty much undeniable when going to the rim. It's just that when it comes to his perimeter shooting and being able to have a consistent jump shot, it's not there yet. But then again, he's just one of those players where it's like, man, if he can develop this one thing, it's going to be really scary. But see, on the flip side, there's your problem. Listen, the Warriors don't got all day. Steph Curry, I can't believe he's performing the way he is at his age, but everybody can't do that. We already see it with Klay Thompson. I'm not going to say he's like overly washed, but Father Time is undefeated, and we can see how those signs of age are showing in Klay Thompson. So, I do believe that at this point in Kuminga's career, 3rd year in the league, Steve Kerr and the Warriors organization as a whole are pretty justified in, expecting that Kuminga would take a bigger leap in having, a bigger impact on winning and contributing to wins, being that difference maker. But at the same time, it's a slippery slope, because how much can I really give you, Steve, in just 22 minutes? So yeah, it's really interesting. And I will give Steve Kerr credit. He already came out and kind of responded to these reports that leaked, and basically was just like, hey man, I would have rather Kuminga come to me directly than just go public with it and let these reports leak out, because maybe we could solve it privately. But as a fan, I love it. It's really interesting to see what goes on behind closed doors and how these players are really feeling. But yeah, y'all, I appreciate y'all watching. I'm not going to stretch this video out any longer than it needs to be. Y'all let me know how you feel about this Jonathan Kuminga situation. Did you expect him to be a higher contributor at this point in his career? Or is Steve Kerr just tripping for giving him such randomish minutes? Let me know. But yeah, y'all like the sub if new. I'll see y'all in the next one, and I'm out.